Good afternoon, everyone. It's James here from TBSCG. Thank you all for joining us today. As you can see, I am joined by Julian from AWS and Bertrand. They will give themselves a proper introduction in a moment. As we go through today, you may have some questions and look for some information. Please feel free to ask them through the GoToWebinar tool. And at the end of the session, we will have a short Q&A where I will pitch your questions to Bertrand and Julian. There will also be a recording available that you'll be able to download from the TBSCG website. But that's pretty much it from me for now. So I'll pass over to these two who will take you through the presentation, and I will speak to you all in a bit.
Thank you very much, James. Welcome everybody to this webinar. So the title is AWS at the center of your DXP ecosystem. Let's see what we're going to cover today. Quick agenda. First, we will introduce ourselves with Julian. We'll then see what is a DXP, why there is a DXP practice at AWS. We'll talk about the business case and go through some of the issues and challenges one of our customers had. And then we'll see that putting AWS at the center of their DXP infrastructure really helped them. And so we'll see the solutions that we've put in place in order to solve the issues that this customer had. We'll take a look at the methodologies that are enabled by moving into the cloud. Obviously, agile methodologies, and you'll see how. A couple of things about the migration path, depending on where you are, what is your maturity level in terms of cloud adoption. You'll see that you have many different paths from identifying an application, a good candidate to move into the cloud until put it into production. And then we'll see together with AWS what is kind of the next step once your maturity level has reached, maybe not expert or God, but once you have migrated a couple of applications, you can start to see what are the next AWS applications that you can use. And then, if any, we'll be very happy to answer to all your questions. So let's get started very quickly. Julian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Julian Wraith. I'm a Principal Solutions Architect at AWS. I've worked around here for 4 years. Currently work in the Benelux team, leading a team of solution architects. And prior to this, I worked at SDL as an infrastructure architect in the content management organization.
Thank you. And I am Bertrand Gillet. I'm the COO of TBSCG. I'm really passionate about technology. It's something that is that keeps me busy night and day. I think that the best technology is good, but actually the best fitting technology is better. And we'll see throughout this this webinar that we believe that some of the key technologies behind AWS are really what is at the moment the best for your DXP. So this is us. Let's get started. First, a very quick generic introduction. What the hell is DXP, Digital Experience Platform? So we took a look on the web and we found a definition from Gartner. Let me read it. DXP is an integrated set of core technologies that support the composition, management, delivery, and the optimization of contextualized digital experience. So it's extremely, let's say, vague and generic. We kind of have maybe another one based on our 17 years of experience. It's a set of tools and practices to interact digitally with an enterprise's ever-changing ecosystem. So there are a couple of other concepts in our definition. First, ever-changing. So it's key to have a solution that will be as much as future-proof as possible. And also, in the context of the ecosystem, we believe that it's important to put the cloud at the center of the ecosystem, and we'll see how we propose to put that in place. So that's a bit what we're going to talk about. I'm going to hand it off now to Julian, and he will tell us why there is a specific DXP practice at AWS. So in other words, why, if you plan to move your digital experience platform into AWS, you'll be in good hands and with experts on your side. Julian?
Thanks, Bertrand. Yeah, so why do we have a DXP practice? Why is Amazon mature enough for running your DXP platform in the cloud? Amazon, of course, is an organization that builds and operates online, and that has helped us over many years to grow and mature our platform for optimized towards the online experience. This makes us really the first choice for many customers to run the DXP in the cloud. moving towards the cloud allows our customers to innovate faster because they can focus their highly valuable IT resources on developing applications that differentiate their business and transform their digital experience, rather than focusing on undifferentiated heavy lifting and managing infrastructure and data centers and these things that don't add value to the digital experience. When deciding for a cloud provider, companies often select based on the quality and performance and the scale of the provider's global infrastructure. You want to trust your infrastructure to a provider that has advanced systems, security and processes and controls in place to be able to deliver performance, the experience that you require, and the business return on your investments. With cloud computing, AWS manages and maintains the technology, the infrastructure, and allows organizations to access these resources over the internet in order to develop and run their applications. So how does this benefit your DXP platform? Faster time to market, allowing you to get ahead of your competition through increased agility and performance of the IT infrastructure. Future-proof technology that will scale up and down as demand changes. Near unlimited scalability for most more than enough for most organizations' needs. Reliable, highly available and reliable platform. We have many years experience in running reliable systems. Lower costs, so we have better return on the investment through an improved TCO, and all the while providing you the mechanisms to keep your customers' data secure, so you're able to go fast and stay secure at the same time. Next slide. So we have the most experience of any other cloud vendor. We were established in March 2006. And our CEO, Andy Jassy, says there is no compression algorithm for experience. We have the longest amount of time running applications in the cloud, running cloud infrastructure of any other vendor. We've used those 14 years to innovate on our global cloud infrastructure to be the most secure, extensive, and reliable cloud platform, offering over 175 featured services from our global data centers. We have the global spread, 24 geographic regions across the world, divided into 76 availability zones to enable you to build highly redundant applications. And our customers use this infrastructure for some of the most sophisticated workloads in the world, including 81% of all deep learning running on cloud. Now we strive to reduce the cost always where we can, and since 2006 we've reduced the cost 77 times, with the latest being a 90% cost reduction on some of our IoT services. And we have, beyond our platform, we also have a partner network who will also enable you to deploy 4,500 different software items from our marketplace onto AWS, so enabling you an extended ecosystem of software capabilities. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. So our customers are using AWS to innovate for their customers. That means that we need to innovate on our customers' behalf. And to help our customers deliver a digital experience with AWS that's agile and scalable, I want to talk a little bit about our culture of innovation and how we approach things. So you may have heard of Amazon's culture of innovation. One of the reasons is why this is one of the reasons why we're able to deliver on our customers' need, and this drives a lot of the things we do. And it has 4 key areas. The first one is customer obsession. Everything we do for our customer and with our customer in mind. And that usually means that we start with what the customer's problem and work backwards from there. And this really just fundamentally drives everything that we do as a business. We focus on long-term thinking. We're determined with the long-term thinking, but we also try to remain agile and flexible enough to pivot with changes to ultimately accomplish that long-term vision. We like to be inventors. We have an inventive mindset, and we're also willing to experiment and willing to fail. And if you're going to do something new, you must have the willingness to be misunderstood for a long time. So if you take, for example, voice assistants, Alexa was an example of something that moved the needle forward, and it was a situation where we were willing to be misunderstood for quite some time. Now, one of the mechanisms we use to deliver on our promised innovation is the concept of microservices. So building small single purpose units, best of breed capabilities, we're able to be agile and scalable. So these single purpose services hold both the business logic and the data, and they all have to be accessed through APIs. There's no exceptions, no shortcuts, no backdoors. And our architecture at AWS is designed to support this approach and accelerate the pace of innovation as a result. We're able to prototype very rapidly. So with AWS, we can spin up thousands of services within minutes, have robust, fully featured technology offering that really gets you from idea to launch in a very, very short space of time. Because you're paying as you go, you can prototype very rapidly, but not have a very high cost. So we have a low cost of failure. It's much cheaper to experiment. When you don't like your idea, if it's not working, you simply turn off the infrastructure and there's no more cost anymore. But if your idea does work, we scale really quickly. You can deploy your application globally within minutes. You can scale up and down as the needs of the business change. And so with these three things, this rapid prototyping, the low cost of failure, and the ability to scale really quickly means that we and our customers are able to scale, are able to innovate on AWS. And for example, AWS itself in 2018 released over 1,800 services and feature releases in 1 year. And the Amazon business as a whole makes 50 million code deployments in a single year. Next slide. This innovation, though, is open to everybody, no matter how large or small your organization is. You have access to the same quality and performance of scale of cloud services. You simply open an AWS account and you get access to all the services, and you can start small and grow from there. And quite a number of customers already trust Amazon to help them with their DXP platform and engage with their brands. So some names on here such as Netflix, LG Electronics, Caterpillar, and Under Armour are just some of the customers that have today deployed their digital experience platform on AWS. And these companies use our platform and a combination of our digital experience engagement services such as Pinpoint, our mobile push, our simple email service in order to engage with their customers. And Amazon.com is also one of AWS's customers and uses the platform to engage with their customers as well.
Okay.
Bertrand.
Thank you very much, Julian. Now that we have seen why there is a DXP practice at AWS, and it's quite clear that with the security and the scalability and the availability that you guys provide, it's quite clear. But we wanted to continue this journey in this webinar by checking a business case and some of the problems that one of our customers, joint customers together with AWS and TBSCG, one of our customers in North America, all the problems that they had. In order to see how they have been able to solve these issues. They have a really ambitious target. The target, I don't want to give numbers, but it was almost to double the revenue in the next 24 months. So they had this really ambitious target. And when we started to work with them on a couple of small projects and the maintenance of their existing system, it really appeared that they had three main issues. The first one is that they were working in extreme silos, extremely siloed organization. So they were losing a lot of time and energy to do and redo it again and do again the same thing that were already done. They even had a silo that was dedicated to manage their own data centers, and these guys were not really talking with the others, with the other people in the other silos doing the development, for instance. So it was really siloed, and the time and energy that were lost in managing projects and programs and the overall company from an IT and marketing standpoint was huge. The second issue is that they were burning energy for nothing. So they were at very low efficiency in the organization. A bit like going with 4 flat tires on your car, and absolutely not frictionless. Let's say it was everything was a pain, everything was long, and everything was complex because everything was mixed. IT, marketing, technology, softwares, deployments, everything. Everybody was doing everything, and it was extremely hard in order to find your way and deliver our projects. And the consequence is that a lot of money were burnt, not for nothing, but the amount of money that was burned for the result was huge. So the total cost of ownership of the solution was extremely high. So we worked together with AWS and we said, look, we have solutions for this. It's a mix of cloud, of methodology and DevOps, and we can bring you a solution. The first thing is that in order to achieve your target, you would have to work together. So stop working in silos. Stop thinking that the guy next door is an enemy because he will finish your projects, his project before your project. That's the wrong way to go. Work in collaborative mode. That's the first thing at all levels, vertically and horizontally. Then instead of burning energy and be extremely friction full, try to be efficient. The same amount of energy instead of running on 4 flat tires could literally take you to the moon. But you have to adapt your methodology and the way that you're working. And last recommendation was maybe take a small amount of this money that you burn, not for nothing, but for little efficiency, invest it in the cloud and see what the results are. And the results were amazing. So the combination of these 3 solutions, a combination of cloud, of methodology and DevOps principles, led them after, so not 2 years, but a year and a half, they really have achieved more than 50% of their goal, and they are on target to achieve this goal after 24 months. So for them, this has been really a game changer. So if you put AWS at the center of your DXP, so running your websites, running maybe your B2C sites, your B2B sites, your B2P for partners, B2E for employees, it's not just a website. You will see 2 main pillars of benefits. Operational benefits that Julian covers. For some of them, security, agility, time to market reduced to the max. 50 million deployments a year is a deployment every 1.5 seconds. So it's really a time to market that is extremely low, even if it's just the last bit, but everything is extremely fast. It is extremely scalable, so you don't have to worry about upgrading your routers or adding new CPUs or swapping hard drives. It's a proven and future-proof architecture. It's an important one. It's proven. So the question is not these days if there is or not a bug or something that would prevent AWS to work or to deploy. When you do 50 million deployments a year just for Amazon.com and AWS themselves, it just proved that it's just working. The proof is in the way that it can scale. You can focus on business objectives. You don't have to worry about IT plumbing anymore. You can use them. You use the technology, and you can make the best out of it. From a financial standpoint, more OPEX, less CAPEX. So usually CFOs will be happy because you can scale up and down, and it's very easy to decrease costs if you don't need, if something that you try doesn't work, you just switch it off. That's it. And if it's working, you just have to scale it up, and it will work even better. You will be able to increase the revenue. There is no downtime on AWS, so since years now. So it's something that, you will be able to have more customer interactions. Consistent customer experience across channels. It doesn't matter if you do mobile, if you do only desktop sites, if you want to do IoT, if you do mobile applications, mobile sites, if you run kiosk or whatever, it just works. It's there and it's reachable from almost anywhere on the planet. The reduced TCO, we already covered it, and drive new digital revenue streams. Just because you will be able, and we'll see that with AWS Pinpoint, once you will have migrated a couple of applications into AWS, you will have reached a maturity level that will let you use other tools from AWS, machine learning, Lambda functions, and you will see a lot of them at the end of this presentation. And it's quite interesting to see how you can drive, new digital revenue streams. So how does it work? I mean, in real life. So in fact, I mentioned that TBSCG exists since 2003. We started by doing CMS implementation. So we just started by doing websites, and we ended up it was always the same, process. We selected a CMS, a content management system. So in 2003, this could have been, very old software now. There are a lot more recent ones like Adobe, like Magnolia these days, and some other site calls. So we used to select a product and build everything around it, customizing it to fit to our business, our customers' needs. And we ended up with very fast and customized software that were both extremely hard to maintain, to migrate, and it was really hard to stay, on the edge of innovation. As soon as we were releasing to production, it was already outdated. So we have completely changed our, our way of thinking, and we said we need to put something else at the center of the DXP infrastructure and architecture for our customers. We will put the cloud itself, and we will put the business APIs from AWS to let all these components to communicate in a completely loose and decoupled way. So there are a lot of, AWS services. We have selected a handful of them, and we have put them into, this core infrastructure. And then we have connected all the tools to it. So you can still keep using your favorite digital asset management system, which can be a very old on-premise solution, but it's working, so you don't want to touch it. You can still keep on using it. You just build an AWS function in front of it. You can connect your e-commerce. You can subscribe to a CRM in the cloud, such as, Dynamics, if you want to. You can have your PIM, on-premise or in the cloud. You can use, obviously, any analytics software on top of this. But it doesn't matter how you need, you don't need to customize your CMS or your DAM to accommodate all these needs. It's all there, and they all communicate through AWS functions. So how does it work in a, multi-layered view of the architecture and the infrastructure? At the top, we have the digital experience softwares. So this will be your mobile applications, your authenticated sites or microsites, your public sites or your public microsites. You will also have the content management itself, because we believe that if you want to have good content on your site, you need to have a good CMS in place that will let your employees to update the content accordingly. Anytime, anywhere, it should be always on. So it's as important as the site itself. So this will be, the DXP layer of it. You can run that in VMs if these are, classic software. You can run them in SaaS. Doesn't matter. It's absolutely possible to deploy anything there. Then it's communicating through the API gateway layer. We create a domain API with some Lambda functions, and then we have some functions available to get the identity of a user, to perform search, to get some product information, to get some content, to get videos or images, and so on and so forth. All the contents and all the functions will be available in the domain API using Amazon Lambda functions. And then they are connected to some other applications. Some of them might be on the shelf applications, such as let's say your DAM. You want to keep your DAM, or your CRM. Let's say you run SAP and you don't want to go with SAP HANA. You want to keep your on-premise software, but you still want to display invoices or customer information. You can do that, absolutely, even if it's on-premise. You will be able to connect to external services such as IoT or any social networks. And something that is important, AWS also provide an identity and access management that could replace any cumbersome SSO solution that you might have in place. Because we see that it's one of the best candidates to start a migration is the single sign-on. That being said, if we look at overall what we've put in place, we had to use a methodology that we call methodology in the clouds that is based on agility on the cloud and on DevOps. If you want this organization, this infrastructure to be used to the max, your teams will need to, well, your whole organization will need to adapt, and this organization must be extremely agile and responsive. So what we put in place, if you know agile methodology, you will probably recognize these graphics. Team, product, and organization, 3 levels. Just to come back on Julian's slide, the 50 million deployments were for 2 organizations. Amazon.com running the sites, the e-commerce sites, and AWS themselves running the AWS services, so the UI of AWS and all the services behind them. So 2 organizations, hundreds of products. I mean, every AWS product function is considered as a product, and you have hundreds of products as well within Amazon.com. It's not just a site that shows products. As a seller, you see your statistics. You can do a lot of things with Amazon.com, and all these functions are products. And then it's literally thousands of teams working on hundreds of products for 2 organizations. And this leads to what you've seen, 50 million deployments a year. But what is important is that it is so scalable that it would be a big surprise if any bigger organization would be able to do even bigger than this. So our typical customers organizations are one organization, dozens of products, okay, and dozens of teams. The maximum we've been handling was probably 20-25 teams, and it's already so faster than any hierarchical classical organization that it's really outstanding. When we were doing a PI planning every quarter for this customer, we had 100 people in the room, all connected to each other, talking about their products and their deployments, and being able to share about the functions. This was usually not possible, or was happening maybe every 2 years. So this agility at all levels, combined with the power of the cloud and the agility of the cloud, was really a game changer. And the last thing that we had to put in place really is DevOps. If you have to have sysadmins that needs to go and plug cables in the routers, configure the gateway, in the IP configuration of the servers, or do the apt update on Linux to get the latest version of Apache or whatever, you probably understand what I mean there, then it's a lost cause, because this will always be the weak link in your organizational chain. So in order to get rid of this, the key is in the microservices architecture and to go down the DevOps route. So this microservices architecture that will lead to use of the Lambda functions in the business API. So everything will be exposed as a web service, let's say, a micro web service. There is no more infrastructure as such. Or if there is an infrastructure, you don't have to worry about the physical infrastructure anymore. Everything is handled as code. This is what we call infrastructure as code. So basically, these are XML configuration files, and you can deploy 25 servers, 10 routers, in minutes, if not seconds. So that's the first thing. Go down the DevOps way and use infrastructure as a code. Also, make sure that your continuous integration and continuous deployment pipeline is working and is rocking. This is the other key. There is no such things as having a piece of code somewhere and that going to touch it in production. I know that some people might love, but we still see that sometimes. Log in on the physical server and go and touch a configuration file, or even worse, a PHP file or whatever, directly on the production server. This is an absolute no-go. It should not happen anymore. Everything must be automated, and everything must fit into this pipeline that goes from the CI/CD. We create containers and we release them on demand. Even every 50 million a year is even more than on demand. It's really constantly. We'll use AWS tools to configure all to do the management configuration and the orchestration of all these tools. And if we map our recommendation of tools to use, you will recognize some AWS tools for sure, but also a lot of open source softwares to handle infrastructure as code, to handle automated testing, to do automatic build, to run the code, to deploy the containers, and so on and so forth. So we put everything in place, and the goal is to automate. A new team arriving, working on a product, a new team of 5-6 people, let's say a product owner, 2-3 developers, 1 tester, 1 designer, should be able to start working in a day. That's the idea, or less than a day. Once they are used to that, there are no way back. They will always request this new way of working. So now that we have seen what to put in place in order to put AWS at the center of your DXP, let's see how to do it. So how to get there? What is the path of least resistance? What is the fastest route to result? So, well, we have a tube map for that. You go in the tube at the discovery station. You start to do a listing. You do an assessment of all the applications that you have and you want to move. You put some priority on them, and then you have to choose what's the next line at this stop. So 2 lines are dead ends. The first before going to validation, transition and going to productions. 2 lines are dead ends. The first one is, you just keep it. It doesn't move. It's just there. It works there. So you might say, why doing that? In fact, it's a very important point. This is not about a big bang. This is not about changing everything at once. You can do a gradual phased migration into the cloud without doing everything at the same time. So some application will just stay there and not move. Some others will not even do that, just go, because you don't have to, you don't use them anymore. You might want to refactor. So this is usually the websites. Websites will need refactoring. Why? Because you want to use modern technologies. You want to use modern JavaScript packages that will dynamically display chunks of content on the site that will adapt automatically to the viewports, to the iPads, to the phones, to every every viewport. You want to absolutely decouple the CMS from any other application. And so, yeah, probably at the CMS, at the site level, there might be a need of refactoring. But again, you can start with a small subfolder or subdomain. You don't have to do everything at once. You can go and try, and we'll see at the end of this webinar that we actually can offer a POC to you guys, depending on your needs, and we might help you to select an application just to have an hello world system running on AWS, and you'll see that, yeah, sometimes refactoring is faster than thinking about refactoring. Then there is the repurchasing. So, replace, drop and shop. You go there, you buy a new application, you install it, and you're good to go. You install it, of course, in the cloud. You might write to replatform. This is usually a good candidate for SSO. You want to change your single sign-on. Maybe you add, OAM maybe, and you want to go with Octal with AWS. Then there you go, replatform. Migrate, modify the underlying infrastructure, migrate all your user, and then you're good to go. Rehosting, the typical lift and shift. It's better to do it automated than manual, but it's still possible manual. And then the ultimate one, if you're already running some VMs on VMware, for instance, you can just relocate. So that's almost Control-E, Control-V, Control-C in Word between two documents, except that it will be virtual machines between different infrastructures. And then you can just use AWS, the power of AWS, just by moving one application from one cloud or from on-premise into AWS. So that's all the scenarios. Some new keep appearing, some new scenarios keep appearing, some disappear. This is very dynamic because it's a dynamic market. New tools arrive all the time, but that's the main idea. First, you identify, then you make a decision, you apply, you take the relevant path, you validate, you put in production, and then you're good to go onto the next one. One key thing to understand is that you can do multiple at the same time, thanks to the these agile methodologies. You can have multiple products, multiple teams running on multiple products at the same time and deploying into the different AWS infrastructure. That's completely fine. So there is no more I need to wait the server to arrive or things like this. So that's it for the how to put AWS at the center of your DXP. I will give the microphone back to Julian, because once you have done that, your maturity level will have dramatically increased, and then you might be ready for the next the next big thing, which will be AWS Pinpoint and the CX portfolio that these guys have in place with a lot of very innovative services. Julian?
Thank you. Yeah, so if you look at what Bertrand has just explained, you're going to build a very, very solid foundation on AWS. And then the next step is really to start then expanding capabilities. And one of the things that AWS supplies is API-driven services. So these services are easy to integrate into what you already have built and what your teams are already working on. And AWS Pinpoint is one of the main app services that is for our customer experience management, our DXP. And Pinpoint enables marketers and developers to really build customer-centric engagement experiences. Obviously, with the goal of building stronger relationships and reducing customer churn. It's one service. It's highly scalable, globally deployed, low latency application. Provides you with rich analytics, easy to use campaign and journey tools with multiple engagement channels. It'll also provide you with real-time data to enable you to process how your customers are experiencing their online experience with you, and enable you to deliver, for example, on-demand messages as their activities progress through their journey. But key crucial point about this is also that you can start to integrate with other AWS services with Pinpoint and beyond. and you see some of these services in this circle around Pinpoint. But just to highlight a few interesting ones, Amazon Comprehend is a natural language processing, an NLP service that uses machine learning to find insights into text. So you could use this to establish sentiment in emails or comments from customers in the communication with your customer. Personalize is a service to allow you to create individualized recommendations for customers, and is born out of Amazon's personalization engines. Amazon Translate is a neural machine translation service that offers high quality, fast translation, machine translation. There's 54 languages and dialects and over 2,800 language pairs, which you can translate between. And machine learning with SageMaker. So, if one of our AI services such as Comprehend or Personalize isn't enough, you can build and train your own machine learning models where SageMaker is designed to take the heavy lift out of the complexities of running infrastructure to build models, allows you to focus on you and your data scientists on actually building the model itself. And then Amazon Connect is our cloud contact center service, and its heritage lies in Amazon's contact center, which today hosts over 70,000 call center agents online for helping Amazon's customers. Next slide. Beyond services, we're talking today with TBSCG. They're one of our partners, and our partners are there to help our customers implement successfully on AWS and to help them accelerate their online experiences. And we also have an expansive ecosystem of partners from our partner network that also deploy software offerings to our marketplace, 4,500 software listings used by 200,000 active customers. And then next slide, please. And then we have our specialized partners that were part of our digital customer experience competency. And I'm sure some of those names are very familiar to you all. These guys help working with AWS customers every day to provide additional DXP capabilities running on AWS. So you can continue to stick with some of your favorite tools whilst running on AWS. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. So just to wrap up and to summarize, what have we learned in the last 40 minutes or so? We believe that AWS is best placed with a DXP practice to bring performance, security, agility, and scalability to your DXP stack. And as we said, there are a lot of technology partners that are using AWS behind the scene. Contentful and Acquire, just a couple of names that we've seen on the previous slides. These guys basically run on AWS. So there are a lot of things that you can do in your DXP using AWS to make it better. We believe that the key is in decoupling, is in using microservices. That's the way to go. No more CMS or DAM or PIM or PAM or ERP or CRM customization or heavy customization. That's not the point anymore. This leads to ever-growing maintenance costs and license fees and human resources, mazes. So it's really one of the key message is decouple. Code test, and deploy as much as you can. If you can reach 50 million a year, then you will beat Amazon themselves. And we believe that the infrastructure is solid enough because it's just for Amazon. So if you take all the customers running on AWS, that's probably billions a year. So at this scale, it means that it's working. Even if 1 over 1,000 fails or would put down the infrastructure, it will be constantly down. It's not, so it's working. And once you are at ease with AWS, get your hands on Pinpoint, try these new services, and then innovative services that Julian just showed. And we believe that some of them are really worth trying to increase your footprint and to increase your customer interaction. And eventually work with a good AWS partner. And yes, we believe we are one of them. So we'll be very happy to assist you, and we'll be very happy to provide you with a free POC and to try to let you try AWS and see what can be the benefits for you and for your organization of just putting AWS at the center of your DXP. So that's it. I hope that we haven't been too long. If any of you guys have some questions, maybe James, you have noted some of them that
Yeah.
might have been shared
Yeah.
by some
So
of
we
the.
have had a couple of
Yeah.
questions actually through the
Okay.
presentation. Guys, if you have got any questions now as well, feel free to pitch them forwards. But we've got 3 here already. So one of the questions that came up was, how long does a migration take?
25 years approximately. So you'll be finished by now 2040. It depends what you guys want to do. A full migration, there is no real duration for this, but we usually work in these time scales. So a POC is a couple of weeks, six weeks max. Migrating a single application is usually one PI, so a quarter, we would say, and then we work with increments of 1 quarter, with demos every week, working in agile mode, and sprints of 2 weeks. So that's usually how we do the work. It's hard to to give a generic answer. So it's not 2 weeks, it's not 25 years. It's closer than weeks than 25 years for sure. But yeah, that's what we usually do. POC 4 to 6 weeks, application to migrate a quarter.
Perfect. Thank you. One that came up, which I guess is really pitched it for both of you, is what are some common challenges you have seen during this process?
Let me start with one challenge that we've seen, and maybe I will hand it off to Julian so he can also share one. For me, the biggest challenges that we've seen is not technical. It's organizational. It's just making sure that everybody is on the same page within an organization. The technology behind it works. So I don't say that there is no technology challenge. There are, but there is no bug to resolve because you want to use something that in AWS that doesn't work. This is not there's no such things anymore. So the real challenge is to align the organization to make sure that everybody goes in the same direction in an agile way and lean way. Julian, you want to share one?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that we believe at Amazon in failing fast, right? So one of the challenges we see is also not, getting on with it. We believe in a concept of the one-way door versus the two-way door, and two-way doors are things that you can always back out of. So that kind of mechanism follows with failing fast. We try something, we experiment. If we don't like it, we back away. So actually, the risk, challenge there is making sure you get started and not think about it too much, plan too much ahead, but really just kind of get in there, experiment, move a workload, move a service, get people enthusiastic for that. Like Bertrand said, people and process is extremely important. Yeah, and you have the tools with Amazon to do that.
Excellent, thank you. Hopefully that answers that first question. And then the last one I've got, unless any more come through, is why should we go with something like this over, for example, Adobe SaaS?
Well, actually, it's not one or the other. You can use, as I mentioned earlier, you can absolutely use a software as a service. So you mentioned Adobe, but there are many others for your CMS or for your DAM, and still use AWS at the center of your galaxy, of your organization. The main challenge here between SaaS and what we could call IaaS, so infrastructure as a service, is the service itself. So you would have to integrate not only your technical, piece with AWS or with, let's say, Adobe, but you will also have to integrate your teams to do the support of it. So the challenge with SaaS is not a technology challenge. It's really a people integration, a people management challenge. That's fine if you have one software in SaaS. What about if you have Adobe for the CMS, Cloudinary for the DAM, SAP for the ERP, Okta for the single sign-on, and so on and so forth? They all are SaaS softwares, and then the key will be in integrating and making sure that when something goes wrong, you know who to call, right? And so that's the biggest challenge really with SaaS. But you can absolutely keep on using your favorite software in SaaS mode, and build an AWS domain API that will expose all the all the functions and content that you want to other pieces. This is that's the way to go. So it's not we believe it's not one or the other.
Excellent. Julian, did you want to add anything on that? I can see you nodding away, but
Yeah, no. So I mean, we're always at AWS. We focus on customer choice, right? So you need to select the applications that drive, deliver you the capabilities that you want. We're also very keen on you need to own your own success, and the success probably for most organizations is in the differentiating capabilities. So you need to select the platforms that give you that flexibility and scalability. Is that Adobe for you? Is that Magento for another customer, or for another team? That's all fine, but you should select where you can own that point of success and where you can create a differentiating capability.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have actually had one more question come in as well, just while we've been going through those. The question is, why is more OPEX and less CAPEX considered a benefit? Is it control? Is it agility? What was the reason behind it being considered a benefit?
Do you want to go first, Bertrand, or shall I?
Sorry, you were breaking up. Can you just repeat it, because I think I got it only.
Yeah.
I got only
So, why is more OPEX and less CAPEX considered a benefit?
That's what most of our customers think, but well, it depends of your financial structure, I believe. So I would not judge for your CFO. If there might be some cases where it's better to spend the capital and less on operations, and some other cases where it's better to spend on operations and less on capital. It's hard to answer without knowing more.
I can give you an AWS view on that. Obviously, we believe, especially when it comes to compute infrastructure, that typically a CapEx investment is often in servers, in some sort of hardware, software licenses, this kind of stuff. And we deliberately have geared our platforms towards an operational expenditure, which means you're only paying for what you use. If you want to spin up a server for 1 hour, you're paying for 1 hour. You don't have to buy that server. You don't have to depreciate that server over time. You can spin it up, use it, and stop it again. And so that increases the amount of flexibility you have with the development of your services, developing your applications, experimentation, etc.
Yep.
Fantastic. Hopefully that answers the question, which brings us to the end of the questions, really. With that, I think it's time to end the webinar. Thank you very much, Julian. Thank you, Bertrand. If you do need any more information, those of you who have been watching, please feel free to get in touch. And as Bertrand's mentioned a couple of times throughout the webinar, we are offering a free POC. So please feel free to get in touch directly with myself, and we can go from there. But thank you all for coming, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.